Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Racing Gambit presented by USAWager.com on the Sports 2.0 network. We have got one hell of a weekend coming up as we are on the, the trial run for the Kentucky Derby, qualifying points on the line this weekend, and every weekend now up until May the 7th. Me and Ace will be here trying to break down what should be a really open race this year. But Ace, how are you doing today? How's it going?
Doing great. Right after this, getting in my car, driving to beautiful Turfway Park to see some really drunk racing before the big racing on Saturday at Fairgrounds and all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to start, really. We'll have a look at what the odds at the moment for the Kentucky Derby are saying, because obviously we still have a fair few months before we get there, but prep races have been going on since September last year. Obviously, we had the Breeders' Cup. We are now probably hitting the kind of purple patch of the racing period where the qualifying points are racking up quite quickly. Obviously, we've got a 50-point race, which we're going to talk about later on. And obviously, there's 8 races coming up with 100 points, including the UAE Derby, which is on March the 26th. And then we've got the Wood Memorial and the Bluegrass later on in the year. The market at the minute, I think it's took a bit of a transformation over the past, 10 days, because now we've got Smile Happy at the top of the betting. And I guess that's probably as much down to Classic Causeway's win last week and then anything else, I guess.
I completely agree with you. Let's also not forget that Smile Happy has also already beaten White Abario, who won a nice Derby prop at Gulfstream. What's interesting to me, and I know we're going to get to it, but Smile Happy 9-1, too low of odds for this far out. But surprisingly, he's 7-2 in his race on Saturday at the Fairgrounds. One of the worst morning lines I've ever seen. Horse is going off at 1-1, like 1,000,000%. You don't rack up those types of wins over those horses and do it that way to be a 7-2 favorite, especially with the morning line 9-1 for the Derby. If I'm looking for a price, I'm going Philly. I'm going Echo Zulu at 20-1. She looks like the best 2-year-old that has run in some time. She looks like a young Rachel Alexandra. I really do think I know only 3 fillies have won the Kentucky Derby. I honestly think this one has the opportunity to, because I'm not sold on anyone just yet, nor should anyone be in February. But these prep races, the prep races in March, will really give us a better idea of where the money's going to be flowing on Derby Day.
Yeah, I think Echo Zulu is one of the ones that we are going to have to watch really, really closely to see where she goes, because I feel like this year's Derby is completely wide open. Obviously, we've got the whole Baffert elephant in the room we'll have to talk about at some stage. But I think with his kind of crop out, I mean, this is wide open. And if there's going to be a year where a filly is going to win this for the 4th time ever, this could easily be the year. And in Echo Zulu, you've got a horse that is ridiculously talented and could back that up. The one I think that's got a bit of value at the moment, purely because we haven't seen him and we don't really know what's going on, is Jack Christopher. So Jack Christopher was the favourite for the Kentucky Derby before the Breeders' Cup. It was also a favourite for the Juvenile at Del Mar, and then obviously was scratched from that a day before. It's now drifted out to 20-1. I just think as soon as he comes back in, and if he puts in a mighty performance, which we know he's capable of after the winning the Champagne, he could be back down to 5-1 again. You might as well take the 20-1 now, and I think it's just an estimated gamble. You might as well just do it.
Yeah, if you're going to look for long shots, if you're looking in that 20-1 range, it's Jack Christopher and Echo Zulu. I'm going to give you one more price off the board. Little known fact. Speaking of Bafferts, everyone's talking about how this is going to be the greatest Preakness ever, right? All these horses of Bafferts are going to go to the Preakness and just, run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it seems everyone's talking about. There's a Derby horse, 25-1 right now at most books, that's beaten a lot of the Bafferts in maiden special weights, beaten them last time out in a grade 2. It's Forbidden Kingdom. I've got a ticket at 150-1, down to 25-1. He's fast. Never gone 2 turns, But when you're beating the Bafferts in Southern California, that says something.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you bring it up because I remember you messaged me a couple of weeks ago talking about Forbidden Kingdom and how you've got a little bit more of an investment in that in the 3-year-old. And I was like, okay, I'll have a look, see what I can get on it over here. And I remember saying to you first, I was like, they have no prices. I popped down to the William Hill store, which is just around the corner from where I live, got 150 to 1 on it. And obviously now it's gone down to 25 to 1. So they must be kicking themselves that they give me such a big price, but I was happy to take it.
There we go. There we go. We're riding this thing out. Let's go. One time,
Yeah, I mean, you got to be done. Obviously, it's interesting as well in the betting because you've still got the Baffert horses in there, and no one knows what's going to happen there.
We keep expecting a ruling any day, and it just never comes. It just never comes. And honestly, I don't know. It like we've talked before on the show. It's very nuanced. I don't know which direction to go. I don't very much trust Bob and anything Bob has to say. But at the same time, if all these tests come back and it was a cream that was just not allowed on race day, it's very different than injecting a horse with something that shouldn't be in the horse's body. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But Bob did himself no favors going and attacking everyone and their mother right after that race.
No, so we obviously keep looking at the Derby odds as we go through the season, but right now we're going to have a look at the Risen Star Stakes, the Grade 2 at Fairgrounds for the 3-year-olds with the 50 qualifying points for the Derby on the line. So 2 previous Kentucky Derby winners have run in this race, including Country House back in 2019. We also have Mandaloon win this last year before coming second in the Derby. And I think this is a pretty high quality renewal of this race. I mean, you've got 4 horses that I can see at the top of the bed that are involved here. So it's going to be a really, really interesting kind of race.
I really find it funny that we have to talk like that, right? Like 2 horses have won the Derby who've won this race. Neither crossed the finish line first, but we're not going to talk about that, right?
We just look at the history books. It says that
That's
one.
right. Yeah, that's right. And so, I mean, Smile Happy is in this race, right? Smile Happy, morning line 7-2. Doesn't make any sense. They've beaten half the crop already who are listed as Derby favorites. I really think it's just going to be like if the pace sets up for them. I think this one is an easy win for them. In all honesty, yeah. If you're getting 7-2, that's just crazy. I'm going to be honest though. Like Corey Lanerie is a good jockey, but he's not one of the elite jockeys in America, and he's on Smile Happy. I'm a little worried there. If you're looking for connections, Zandon, the 7 horse, 9-2, Chad Brown, Jose Ortiz. I mean, they won a maiden, and then they lost the Remsen by a nose. So it seems like they're stakes caliber. It's just realistically, how good can they be moving forward? And then, I don't know about you, but man, my Twitter buzzes about number 1 Papacap. People love Papacap. He takes seconds, right? Like second, third. Yeah, okay. Tyler Gaffleone jumping aboard. Morning line odds 4-1. I think odds are going to go up on all these horses, and Smile Happy is going to come way down. Where did you land?
Yeah, I mean, Papacap's a weird one. I get kind of Hot Rod Charlie vibes off him quite a lot. I feel like everyone's going to really, really like him, but he's not really going to win that much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm most excited to see Smile Happy. Like, I think Smile Happy could put down like a real marker for not just the Kentucky Derby, but I think all Triple Crown races with a performance that could be quite special this weekend. You're basing that off because we haven't seen him this year just yet. So we're basing the form off the how good Classic Causeway was last weekend. So I think if Smile Happy has come along as that form has kind of suggested, then Smile Happy is going to win this by a country mile because he could be very, very special if Classic Causeway's performance last week is anything to go by.
I honestly think the Fairgrounds track sets up really well for Smile Happy. I feel like he can sit a nice stocking trip and come as wide as he wants to be down that very long straightaway coming home. I do really think it sets up nicely for them. And yeah, I mean, if you can get 7-2 somewhere, bet it now because it's not going to be 7-2 anytime when near this race.
No, I mean there are obviously very interesting horses in here because you got Zandon in here who's quite prominent in the Kentucky Derby betting. You got Slow Down Andy as well, but I just think the wide draw for Slow Down Andy is just going to kill him this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you. And listen, if anyone pops up and wins this race by 4 lengths, and it's not Smile Happy, well then I think you have your new Kentucky Derby favorite for now, right? Up until next week's prep races. But I really do think Smile Happy wins this one and wins it for fun.
Yeah, the one that I've got a bit more of an interest in as a bit of an outsider because I'm kind of not kind of set on Zandon or Epicenter or Papa Cap. I'm not set on any of them other ones. So Pioneer of Medina, I think is an interesting one in here. I think it's already won at Fairgrounds, over 1 and 1/16 miles, 2 from 2 since switching from the synthetic surf as well. And it's bred to be kind of good over this kind of stamina testing distance. I just think like he is one to kind of keep on side because he's going to kind of progress as the season goes on. And I think with a decent draw here, I wouldn't kind of rule him out. I see he's already come down in the betting quite a little bit because he was a little bit higher than 10-1 yesterday.
Yeah, I'm really seeing this as a race for second. So to your point, right? Smile Happy runs away with it. If anyone comes close to him, like mark that horse and say, hey, maybe this one is a 2-turn stretch out, can get classic distances. So we'll see. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. So where you landed on that one then? Smile Happy all the way.
Smile Happy over Papa Cap and Zandon. I do think it's a little bit chalky.
Yeah, I'm going to go Smile Happy, and then I'm going to take a chance on Pioneer of Medina for a bit of value there. So we're going to switch our attention to the Kentucky Oaks prep with the Rachel Alexandra Stakes. This has obviously got 50 points, 50 qualifying points for the Oaks. Over 1 and 1/16 miles. 2 winners from this race have gone on to win the Oaks, including Monomoy Girl in 2018 and then Serengeti Empress the following year. So two straight years, and we've been a bit dry since then. But this is again, it's another really interesting kind of prep race.
I completely agree with you. And it's nice to name horses that have actually won and crossed the finish line first when it comes to winning the biggest girl race of the year, right? I really like this race. And what's interesting is it's almost like set up like a bit like a handicap. So you've got the favorite of the 11, Hidden Connection. Draws all the way to the outside. They want the lead. They're going to really have to work for the lead. If Hidden Connection goes on and wins, which wouldn't surprise me, you can just book that this one's going to be, if Echo Zulu decides to go Derby, Hidden Connection is going to be the number one choice in this race come May if Echo Zulu doesn't run. I'm not very wary of that post, but I am wary of Raylu Gutierrez as jockey. No offense to Raylu, but he's not winning big races on big circuits, and so a little worried. Now, mind you, he's winning at Fairgrounds. Brett Calhoun is winning the trainer at Fairgrounds. I'm just drawn, and I'm going to go bookends here. The 11 and the 1. I really like La Crête. Do you know who La Crête is a half-sister to?
I don't know. Go on.
Claire. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're saying that this one is maybe even a little ahead of Claire where she was last year before all the big races. So you get Joel Rosario shipping in. Steve Asmussen. I know he hasn't won a ton lately, but he's winning at 14%. His horse is 2 for 2. They won a stakes at Fairgrounds. They're 8-1 morning line. Enough. I can't not bet Joel Rosario at 8-1 on an undefeated horse. I just can't do it. Where did you land?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I just think she ticks pretty much every box you want ticked here. Obviously, she won at Fairgrounds last time as well, so you got that bit of experience around the course that you're looking for. Obviously, that was in the Silver Bullet Day, beating Fanny and Freddie. I just think she's going to take a whole load of beating here. And when I watched that race back, she didn't look like a horse that's going to be 8-1 in this race. Like she looked like she should be at least half of that.
Yep.
And I don't know whether it's just because she's on the rail and that's why she's 8-1. I don't know.
I'm really confused by it. And not only that, a wise man that I met at beautiful Kentucky Downs last year told me about a Z pattern. I don't know if you've ever heard about the Z pattern in racing. So the Z pattern is basically, in that last race, Leclerc went to the lead in the stretch, then went to second by over a half a length, and then went on to re-rally and bury their competition, a Z. First, then down, and then back over to first. I think this horse has got fight. I think she's a winner. I think she's going to dig in and look whoever in the eyes. I think this horse wants to be challenged. And so, like, when you have that history of like, oh, I've given up the lead and I'm a speed horse, can I come back? She's already shown that she can.
Yeah, I think that's what you kind of look for, especially at this kind of age where like you see a horse that can lose the lead but then has enough to fight back and get it back again. Because not many can do it.
Nope, not many can do it. And not many have shown to do it at a young age, right? Someone passes them, it's over, right? You see the 4-year-olds fight back more, the 5-year-olds, right? Like the more stable horses, they know that they're going to run their race and switch leads, etc. This horse could be something special.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm all in. I just think it's such a solid thing this weekend.
Now, realistically as well, what odds do they go off at? 4-1, probably, right?
Mm.
And so yet again, if you're getting 8-1 somewhere, take it. Just take it.
She surely isn't getting any bigger, is she?
Yeah, no. Yeah, if she's like 11-1, I'm gonna be like, one. So somebody knows something, right?
The other one that I quite like in here is North County. There's another unbeaten one, 3 from 3. Won the Untappable around Fairgrounds, beating Fanny and Freddie again. I think she's definitely improving, and I'll be interested to see her in this company. But I think she's got a bit of pace about her, and I think she's going to be fighting for the money positions. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 1-2 with the 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I did look at 1-2, and then I also looked at the 9 Awake at Midnight and the 11 Hidden Connection. I would literally just play 1, 2, 9, 11 all day long. Exacta, trifecta, up, down, all the way around, even super, because I think this one is going to come out. And we can't even say it's chalky, right? Because we like an 8-1 on top. 8-1 over 8-1 over 7-2 over 3-1. Let's wheel them home and make some money.
Yeah, I suppose the other two of interest in here are Awake at Midnight, and I guess Goddess of Fire has got the connections there, which will make her a little bit interesting. The problem with the Goddess of Fire is I just think that I just don't think she has kind of the necessary pace to kind of deal with this, with the best horses in this field, and that's probably why she's out at 8-1 with the wider draw as well. She's been third in the Pocahontas and second in the Gaspria. I know the money's probably going to come because of you got the Pletcher and Louis Sayers connection there, but I just can't make too much of a case for her this weekend.
Nor can I. And like Awake at Midnight seems like a really nice horse, the 9. Morning line odds of 7-2. They've taken back-to-back seconds in California. Like, I just shipping all the way to Fairgrounds. Like, if this horse won those races, I can understand 7-2. But like, I think the odds are just kind of just crazy in this race when it comes to who we like.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I think the ones that are taking like I guess the early money are the ones that have been involved in them graded races but haven't actually won them. And then you've got the kind of crop coming up, such as Leclerc and North County, who have done well in stakes but not graded yet. So you want to see them if they can catch you come up to this level. I think it's just a really, really kind of intriguing race.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's not only that; it just happens to be where you're trained, right? Where you've run your first 2 or 3 races. Like, Fairgrounds doesn't have a lot of graded stakes outside of today and Louisiana Derby Day. So if you're a Midwestern horse, there's not those opportunities. Where in Southern California, they'll throw out a graded race for a Saturday just because they can. So yeah.
Yeah. So where you landed on there? We both landed on Leclerc to win.
Leclerc, Joel Rosario.
And I'll take North County second, I think.
Very nice.
So next up, we got the Fairground Stakes, which is a Grade 3 over 1 1/8 miles on the turf for the 4-year-olds. I think this is such a good weekend of racing at Fairgrounds because this is again another really interesting wide open race. I kind of fancy a horse making his American debut this weekend in this race. At Hamo.
At Hamo?
Yeah, the one that's shipped, moved to the Chad Brown yard from France. You got Jose Ortiz on board. It's 4 from 11, which includes a win in the Grade 3 Prix de Force at Longchamp. Obviously, it's an American debut, so you don't really know how it's going to deal. But you look back at the form, and it's ran in some pretty good caliber races over in France. It was in the Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club, which was won by St. Mark's Basilica. We know how good that horse is. Seal Away was second in that. We're going to talk about Seal Away in a couple of weeks when we talk about the Shima Classic, because I'm a big fan of Seal Away. I think it's a really really good horse. Tipped it up for the the Arc as well, but it's running over these distances in high quality Group 1s, Group 2s, Group 3s. Dubai Honor is another that beat him in a Group 2. The distance is going to get straight away. I think it's just whether the kind of Fairgrounds plays to his strengths, I guess. But there's not many in here that have the kind of graded form that he does.
I don't disagree with you. I find it really interesting that they landed on this race. You know, like to your point, this isn't the Chads that usually come over and win first out with good recent histories, right? Yeah, this horse has won a Grade 3. It was a while ago though, right? Like the recent form, not great. So like bringing them in here, like I think morning line odds are 9-2, and yeah, you got Chad Brown on turf and Jose Ortiz shipping in, right? They're gonna take money, and I'm never gonna blame anyone for landing on Jose Ortiz on the turf. He's a great rider. I'm having trouble with like his recent form, and so I'm actually gonna look elsewhere. I really do think that we have a convenience store over here called 7-Eleven. I really am just looking at Halo again, morning line 6-1. They've won at Fairgrounds. They've taken a close second at Fairgrounds. Joel Rosario again shipping in. Asmussen. Like I do feel like this horse can sit right behind the front runner in 2 Emmys and hopefully chase them down. I don't have a really good feel for the Fairgrounds turf course. When I look at like who's winning, it's from all over the place. I do think if 2 Emmys goes out to the lead, really slows it down. Halo again sits right off their hip. 2 Emmys, morning line favorite, 3-1. James Graham, who won the jockey title there last year, winning at 18%. Morning line 3-1. I just they seem to like Fairgrounds, and I don't know if Adamo gets the race setup that they need, because Adamo is pretty much a closer, right? Like they're going to be coming from the clouds. I don't know if it's going to set up for them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I'm interested to see how he performs, because I think some of the form there is good, and there isn't many horses in here that he should be kind of scared of. And I think that might be one of the reasons why they've targeted this race.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit easier than going straight into like a bigger kind of Group 1 or Group 2.
Yeah.
The other ones that I thought was of interest to me, I got Major Fed written down. It could be an interesting kind of play, this, because this is his first start after. So he was second in the Indiana Derby, and I think it's an interesting kind of play.
I looked at some of these horses, and I was all like, God, if they were good a year ago and they haven't done anything since, I guess I just value more recency bias, right? Like recent history, show me that you can win. I'm going to pass on Major Fed, but then again, right? Like back class rules the day sometimes. It just does.
You talk about recency bias. I mean, if you're talking about a horse that won this 12 months ago, you'll be looking at Captivating Moon. And he won at a big price last year, and he's going to go off around 20 to 1 again this year. I mean, his form since winning that race 12 months ago, though, has not been. I mean, it's probably been what we expected, really, I guess.
So I've actually, trainer Chris Block, local hero of mine, he's trained some horses that I've partially owned. I'm always betting Captivating Moon. And I missed out on betting Captivating Moon a year ago in this race. So I'm on all the losers for Captivating Moon. I just don't see that pace drop out where that horse just closes in and wins. I'll be rooting for them. If I get beat, I want it to be beat by them. But yeah, it's really something. I also looked at 40 under. He's the number 2 horse here. Morning line 8 to 1. They won last out here. Mitchell Mural, bet Mitch get rich. Another guy who's winning at 15%. The only time I've ever been to actually Fairgrounds racing. I won a ton of money betting on Mitch. I'm not saying they're the class of the field because they are not. But if you're gonna go for a stretch and like that 8 to 1, I think it actually probably goes off at like 10, 11 to 1. 40 under might be a play.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even spoken about Largent in here, and Largent was second in the Pegasus World Cup Invitational not too long ago. I mean, that's some pretty good recent form.
I don't disagree with you. I just, yeah, with the way I looked at this race, I go, I think speed holds. And if I'm going to go speed holds, I'm going to go Halo again in 2 Emmys. I think they really slow it down, and I can see this being a 2-horse race, but we've already mentioned 7 horses, right? This one is wide open. This is the best thing about racing, especially on the turf. We don't know. It's going to be great.
Oh, it's going to be a really fun race. This is. So I'm still going to stick with my my Chad Brown at Hamo.
And I'm going to land Halo again, 2 Emmys exact, 7-11.
So last race we're going to look at from Fairgrounds, the Mineshaft Stakes. It's a grade 3 over 1 1/16 miles. And again, this is another really interesting race. I mean, we got a field of 11. And I mean, you probably could make a case again for about 7 of them.
So yes, you could. And yes, there's some names in this race. Let me warn you on those names. They haven't been good since like 2020. Like they didn't even win nice races in 2021. Sure, they got a ton of back class. But have they won a race recently? I value that more than anything else. And like, call me crazy, but this is where I am taking Jose Ortiz and Chad Brown. Miles D won back-to-back races, with the latest being a stakes up at Aqueduct. Jose Ortiz shipping in Chad Brown. The running style's that of a stalker, so they're not going to be that far from the pace. Workout times are actually faster recently, where I think they actually might be a pacer. They might be even closer than stalking 5 wide. I know they've never raced here, but they're a perfect 1-for-1 at the distance. And I think their experience in general against some of these other horses may be lacking. But like, winning a stakes last out is not easy to do. And I just think that's where I'm happy to land on this race.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also going with the horse that won last time out, but that was the first time we'd seen him in a long time. So I'm going to go with Obesos. So he won. He won around Fairgrounds over 1 1/16 miles. So course and distance winner. I mean, that before that we saw him second in a map win. So it was a fair bit ago. But I was quite kind of pleased with his return to the track. And I'm just looking at the course and distance winner. I feel like he's been primed for this race from that race, that comeback race. And he wasn't disgraced in the Kentucky Derby last year either. Like, I think he is a good horse. And I think at this kind of level, it could be his level.
I don't disagree with you. I just, like I said, big names. Big names. Do they do consistent running? Not so much. Another horse I'm looking at is Untreated, the 10. Luis Saez coming in, Todd Pletcher winning at 33% at the fairgrounds, 9-2 odds. They've won closing, but they've also won like closer to the pace. I think Luis Saez, wherever he ships in, he gets at least one win on the day. I looked around and I was like, I think this is one of his best shots for it.
Yeah, the other one that I kind of flagged up was Olympiad. I feel like they've kind of found a bit of a trick with this one. I think they've stepped up in trip. He enjoyed it when he was fourth in the Cigar Mile. And then he enjoyed it again last month at Gulfstream when he beat Cowboy Diplomacy. I just think that this is probably his distance, to be fair. But whether he's good enough to win this, I'm not too sure.
Like you mentioned, there's probably 7 horses that can win this race.
Yeah.
At least, right? The only thing that, it's about what you value, right? Is it the horse with the best pedigree? Is it the horse that's got the best back class and was won the best race? Is it just completely recency bias? I wouldn't blame you landing on anyone, but I think my final selection, Miles D, Ortiz, Chad Brown for the win.
Yeah, I'll be landing on Obesos to bring us home with 4 winners from 4. I mean, we would do well if we got 4 winners from 4 in there, because that is a tricky weekend of racing.
Yeah, and thankfully it's not a complete sequence, so it's not just a pick 4, but it's really going to be interesting. And like we said, I think we're both landing on Le Crête. I think that's the best bet of the weekend for both of us.
100%.
And, if you land that one, you might be playing for free the rest of the day. So,
I mean, I'd be keen to stick Le Crête and Smart Happy in a little bit of a double.
Yep. Don't blame me one bit there.
I think you've got 2 strong fancies there, and then maybe have a bit of fun on the two races.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that about rounds us off for this week. Then we were back next week to preview the race in action taking place over the weekend. From myself and Ace, thank you for joining us, and until next week, goodbye.
Like and subscribe.